So, you know, when you say, when I have compassion for somebody, then I connect to that person. So doing Tonglen connects even more. And the more we are connected, the less we are alone. And the more we are connected, we see that others are exactly like us. Not wanting suffering, but having suffering. Wanting happiness, but not having happiness, like lasting happiness. So then we don't feel so alone anymore. And then also what it does, it shows us, it brings us closer to the nature of our mind as being totally space, yeah? So that it is not, you know, because it destroys that limiting thing that we have, I and others, yeah? So the connectedness comes especially because we face our own fears, our own resistance, our own stuckness in old habits and all this, and so we go like this. What you can also do is when somebody is very aggressive with you. This is already next step. This is Chekava 7 points. That you take on their aggressiveness because you get it anyway. Yeah. So and you don't say to the person, "Oh, it's okay now. I'm taking your aggressiveness," and you're not doing it for the other person to stop. Also, you're doing it so that you don't get aggressive. Because when you're doing this, you will not get angry. This is what happened to me at one point, and it was magic, because my problem is anger, it's not attachment. Yeah. So although, you know, below the anger is attachment. Things are not the way I want them to be, then boom, I get angry. So that's also kind of attachment. But I did that with somebody who was, you know, sometimes we just get on people's nerves and they're very unpleasant and whatever you do is wrong and they get upset and seeing you and all this. It was during a retreat that instead of doing the meditations that were supposed to go with the retreat, but I was not leading the retreat, I was participating. I just thought about this person, and I thought about this person because she can also be nice and she can also be happy. So I thought about her smiling, friendly. And I just thought, okay, all this aggressiveness and all this anger, I really pulled it out of her with my breath, and I gave her like a lot of lights and all this. And what happened is I didn't get upset. Also, I could see my part in the whole thing because we are quite close, because she also lives where I live. I mean, not in the same house, but in the same city. And I could see that kind of her exploding anger gives me some kind of perverse power over her, because, you know, I would then see myself as the victim, and you see again, I try to be kind and she's rejecting me and blah, 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 and this and that, you know, the whole story. And it's by doing these Tonglen practice, I saw my part in it. I'm playing with her. Because, for example, I'm telling her things that I know it makes her upset and angry, but I don't need to tell her. She doesn't need to know. You know, or I know that I have to say in a bit different way, she wouldn't get that angry. But I like this role as the victim. And then I stopped. It's only by seeing it in the meditation, by going deeper into it, when it jumps like this. You see, when we think like here, I'm doing this and this and this, here is not transformed yet. But when you have sometimes, because you hear so many teachings, and then sometimes in the meditation, even though maybe you should do something different, but all of a sudden, something comes up and you really see it, and then the habit is broken. I was really able to stop. I was also able to stop my aversion towards her. And I was, as I'm saying, I didn't get angry, and we became very good friends. Now she says, like, I'm so happy you're also in Bern, and it's fantastic, and this and that, and it's like... So I didn't do it because of that. I just did it because I saw that she was suffering. You see, we don't see usually somebody who is aggressive as the one who is actually the victim. Because I could see my power over her. I only needed to say this, and boom, she was angry again. This is... She couldn't do anything. She couldn't control herself, and she suffers from that. And she hates herself because of that. So then she would hide sometimes, and she would not come out anymore, and this and that. So this is also very good. When somebody makes you suffer, take the suffering. Because what you're taking, you take the future suffering of that person, because they're creating karma. So they have to go through this anyway. And you're getting it anyway, so you might as well take it voluntarily, because then what happens, you're in a different mental factor, right? when aggression comes, very often we get defensive. And that's again coming from the ego. So then again, it's exaggerated, and we get carried along with either anger or hurt, or I don't know what else can happen in those moments. Usually it's aggression towards outside, or aggression kind of we stop communicating. That is also aggression. Like we're upset. What else or emotions can be in there? What do you think? Fear, yeah? Or if it's only words? Yeah, fear may be also there. So
confusion. Not to know exactly
yeah.
what.
So, but then when you start to do Tonglen, you're in awareness. You are, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. So you made the step out of this thing. So the object is not so much the person's anger anymore, because otherwise we meditate on the person's anger, and then of course it becomes big and bad and all this. Whereas then we make the step into the mental factor of being aware and actually compassion. So then there's no way. When you have compassion, there is no way at the same moment you can have anger. It's impossible, because that's the exact opposite. Opposite of compassion is cruelty and violence and anger. So that's a very, very, when you are maybe bullied where you work, or you feel that, people are like this, instead of being the victim, you can try this method. Maybe they will stop, maybe not, because we're not making it for them to stop. But what will happen, because you will get more spacious, and the more, it's like with a target, kind of, the more space there is, the smaller the target becomes. But if there's no space, then the target is really big. Yeah. The more, actually, this guy today, who was trying to get into your house. Do you know him? Ah. So he rang the bell, but then they didn't open. But then he said, "Well, these electronic things today, they don't work because maybe the doorbell didn't work. I don't know." And he said, "Well, ancient times you could throw a radio on the floor, and it wouldn't break. Now you don't even know what's broken, and it still doesn't work anymore." And he said, and also people have become very sensitive. And I said, yeah, it's true. People are hurt very, very quickly. Like wrong look or wrong words, and immediately they get upset. So we have become very, very, very sensitive. So in German, there is an expression when somebody is insulted. It's like you have Thai, like auf den Schlips treten. Do you know that? So anyway, I don't know where it comes from, because how can you step on somebody's thigh? It's like stepping on somebody's thigh.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, but what? So that the longer you tie, the easier it is for people to step on it. If your tie is very short, like nobody can step on it. And this is why I say, when you say fear, it's when we become aware also, it is anger, okay, but it's just words. Don't let them go in so far. But somehow, perversively, a part of ours likes it. Because then we feel ourselves, then we feel this I, There's no space there. Then we feel it, and we can go with the story, and again, and we elaborate, and wow, did you see? I was trying to help her, and she's rejecting me, she's even angry at me. Whatever I do is wrong. Whoa. It's like, and we enjoy it, to be honest. We actually enjoy it.
So why do you want to take us?
Huh?
So why do you want to take it from us?
What?
He's joking.
Because it creates suffering. It's a perverse enjoyment. We could be spacious, we could be really happy, we could be there for others. Whereas the more victim we are, the more we forget about others, the more it's just about me, and this me becomes bigger. Because that is the cause for the problems, that we don't understand. When I said whatever leads to happiness is true, that we don't know what leads to happiness, and we create what leads to suffering. This is why I would like to take it away from you. But also, why I'm doing Tonglen when somebody's aggressive with me now, because I really found out, for me to be protected, to give back that aggression. That is why. And also when you are sick and we start to do Tonglen and you think, oh great, I have this pain, may this pain become the cause for all beings to be free from pain and from suffering. Because the more you can do this, the more it destroys the ego. The more you recognize your nature as being space. The more you start to understand, hey, there's nobody there to be hurt, the more you understand emptiness. The quicker you understand emptiness, the quicker you'll be enlightened and you can lead others to that same state. Okay? So I think that's about all I wanted to say. There is a very nice book by Pema Chodron, which is called Tonglen, where she explains really, really nicely, like the mistakes you can make, the misunderstandings there are about Tonglen. She explains the tactique. And so for her, because it's Kagyu, and Kagyu is so beautiful, they always talk about nature of the mind. That it's not, not about ego, blah, blah, blah. It's to discover your true nature, which is total space, total openness, total relax and all this. Believe it or not, that is our nature. So it's kind of crazy that we have somebody else to tell us about our nature, isn't it? It's kind of strange, but because we're so far away from it, because we identify with the wrong things. We identify with this I and ego. This is what I said also. When somebody hurts you, and you go into the feeling, you're not afraid anymore, you really go, and you take the I or the story away from it. And you see what happens with your feeling. It fizzles out. Yeah. And we're clinging to these feelings because it's food for this wrong or for this false I.
You are asking, whom is he insulting? If you take out your...
This is also good.
Okay, no, I'm in a way repeating what you said.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking, okay, so when he or she tells you, I love you, whom she is loving?
Also nobody.
Also nobody.
Then there's no attachment, then there's only open love. I want you to be happy, without me having to be the person who makes you happy.
Again, please.
Mm-hmm.
When my
Very
wife
often.
says to me,
Yeah.
I love you,
Yeah.
if I take the same principle, it's not
Yeah.
me. So what is the relationship?
What?
What is the relationship? Why if she insults me...
Because it's our nature to love others. She wouldn't probably only love you, she would also love others. The same way.
Thank you.
So, for a normal, ordinary, worldly relationship, you need attachment. You're right. Mm-hmm. But who knows, these science fiction movies when we're so evolved and so advanced and all this, so in order to have children, we don't need this attached love and sex anymore. It will just, everybody will be happy to just, maybe we come out of cops in the future, who knows?
No, but in the meanwhile...
In the meanwhile, yes, if we want to have an ordinary partnership, there needs to be attachment, because otherwise it won't work.
No,
But are we talking about
we're
partnerships? What are we talking about?
No. You are talking on one side,
Yeah.
on the negative side. So I'm saying, I conclude, I'm asking you, if the negative side, you're trying to help me and to say,
Yeah.
when you insulted, there is no ego, there is
Yeah.
no male.
Yeah.
And I understand and I like it.
Yeah.
But then my brain says to me, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so where is the positive? When somebody says, not my wife, somebody said, I like you.
Yeah, then you
So-
go, it's
so in the
okay.
same token, I shouldn't be excited from the fact that he's...
Yes, you
like,
should.
Why?
Not excited, because that's what I'm saying. Love, compassion is our nature. Whereas anger and hurt and self-concern is not our nature. So this love will always be there. The love, the connectedness with others.
You want to say that his ability to say, I like you, I have to relate more seriously than when he says, I don't like you, I hate you? Why?
It will come naturally, I think.
So what if
That you
I
feel the
feel?
connectedness.
I feel, so what if I feel? What's the big fuck about what I feel?
We've-
Does it make it more serious or more authentic or more
We are
real?
here because we want to be happy, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So feeling connected with somebody, being able actually to forget about yourself. When your wife tells you, for example, says you, I like you, then you're happy for her because she's happy because she likes you, for example. You don't need an I.
I'm supposed to be happy that she says she likes me.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it in this way. I have to admit.
Huh?
I didn't think of it this way.
Yeah, of course. Because if you know, this is, otherwise it becomes again me. Wow, she likes me. Again, then it becomes attached. So then with this, oh, she likes me, again comes a lot of expectation. Oh, she likes me, therefore she will do this for me, and she will do that for me, and she will that for me. And we start to exploit, maybe. I'm not saying you're doing it, but maybe we'll do. Whereas if there's just this connectedness, it is, connecting human by human. We don't need an I. We understand we have a conventional I think you forgot about that one. We know who we are. Yeah, the conventional I. That conventional I also wants to be happy, but it's not, it understands I'm a combination of body and mind, changing moment by moment by moment by moment, but the continuity is the same. So I'm not disconnecting from the moment before. Okay? But you're not getting attached. Like, the Dalai Lama, you go and say, oh, I love you so much, and you're so da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then he forgets about you. Well, he's with the next person. Whereas if somebody comes to us, I like you, then we schlep them away with us like all the time. Or we're insulted when you don't recognize her anymore. I know how it is with me. Sometimes people, they say, oh, you're so wonderful, and blah, 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 and this and that. And that. They put me very high up, and then they see how I am. Maybe now it's a bit better, because at the beginning of being a nun, still it's 20 years ago, I tell you, my problem is really angry, so I could really lose it sometimes, and it was quite cruel. And then, of course, they'd be, I'm totally destroyed, and I felt that they started to hate me. This is it, this whole thing with the worldly attachment liking that we have, it comes with a lot of expectations. Yeah, so, but you can, when she says, I like you, then you can at least say, okay, at the moment she likes me, so she's happy, so that's fine. You can ask her what strings are attached to you liking me, to be on the sure side. But then it's also, she says, I like you. Then the feeling, is here, isn't it? But logically, we should think, oh, she likes, what does she like? Does she like my hair? Does she like my face? No, wait. Does she like my face? Does she like my qualities? Does she like this and this? Then we go, but here, what is in here that she likes? In this feeling of I, what could be there that she likes?
My face.
We go, nothing.
So she's stupid.
No.
Stupid.
No, you understand that she likes you for what you are, and it's also karma. It's karma we have with other people. That's it. This is why we like some and others we don't.
If karma, I raise my hands.
Huh?
If karma, I raise my hands.
Yeah, it is. Definitely. And this is why it can change, because when it would be really you that she likes, it could never change. But this changes so quickly. The filters change. When that karmic imprint of liking, do you remember where pleasant feelings come from? Karmic imprints, positive karmic imprints. As they ripen, they exhaust themselves. So when that one is exhausted, it turns into aversion or into indifference. This is why we have different connections with people. Like sometimes, yes, oh, can't be separated from them. Oh, if only he wouldn't come home tonight. It's that's why. It can't be you as a person, because otherwise you would always provoke the exactly same feeling in her when she sees you. Now, if she would see you once every 20 years, then I would say, yes, then it's always the same feeling. But if she sees you every day, this liking feeling, Jenny, does it change or not?
All the time.
Yeah? You thought that she likes you all the time. There you go. Changes all the time.
I was idiot enough.
You didn't ask me, Meira.
No, but it's a very interesting point of view about relationship, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah.
Because we tend to speak always about the anger and about the negative.
Yeah, because that's
Now,
what we...
Yeah, but when suddenly I ask about the positive side,
Hmm.
apparently there is very deep consequences to it. About the essence of relationship,
Mhm.
positive, husband and wife, it's positive, it's assumed,
Well,
supposed to be.
okay.
Supposed to be.
A relationship, for example, that is done out of reason has a good chance to survive, like a business. Okay? I need a man needs a woman, we want to have children, let's get married. If that is the reason they have children, you have a very good chance that it will survive in a very nice, considerate way. Whereas if the relationship is based on, you have to make me happy, whoa. You see, at one point, somebody also said he said his wife left me and I'm angry, I'm disappointed. I said, why? And he said, because I invested so much into that relationship. So I said, oh, okay, then it was a business. He says, no, it was love. I said, well, if you talk about investment, and I said, if you invest, you need to make a contract so that the other one also knows how much you have invested. That's what we do in business. Then it works. You know, if one invests and he doesn't tell the other one, and this one spends all the money, then that business is not, that partnership in a business is not going to work. So actually with relationships, we can do the same. What do I expect from you? What do we expect from me? And then we can negotiate.
Yeah, I agree.
We would have much less divorces. There is so many expectations at the beginning because there's so much attachment at the beginning. Because when you are attached to somebody, it looks as if that person is so attractive. And then when that filter of attachment goes and you see how, then the smallest thing, like putting the cup like this instead of like this in the cupboard, is making them angry. Oh, how are we going to talk about 6 perfections now? Let's do, but thank you very much. It was a nice conversation.
For me, this was the more important than 6 perfections, but this is my egoism.
It's okay. You're forgiven, I think, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, you can go home, not now, but later and then.
I like you, May.
Yeah, I do. You're very likable. What to do? You're very likable. Okay, so now we do like just 5 minutes of, you think about a person that their suffering is not so big. Maybe, again, you can take yourself, but I always think we're brave enough to take somebody else. You think about a person that their suffering is not too much, but when you think about this person, let's say, as an example, you know that they're not so well. Then you call them, and they say, oh, wow, today I feel really well, and your heart opens. Do you have somebody in your life that when they tell you, oh, today I'm really happy, that not the ego that asks, why? That one has to stay aside. So not attached love. Because the attached love would go like, why? Because I'm not involved in your happiness. Why are you happy? And then the person would maybe say, oh, because, I don't miss you at all. I totally forgot about you. If you would still be happy about the happiness of the other person, fine. But if you would be a bit unhappy, then maybe not so good. So somebody that your heart opens kind of when you think about the person, but if possible, not too close, not with attachment. Just a friend, a neighbor, the lady in the supermarket. Okay. We see them every day. It's such a hard job. It's not well paid. But thanks to them, we can go shopping. Now don't go, oh, they're quite well paid. They're not. I mean, the many hours in that light and not outside and all this, yeah? Do you know a face of a lady in a supermarket? Where you usually go? See, sometimes we don't even know their faces. They're just kind of machines. Do you know the face? Okay, good. But you can take anybody else. You close your eyes, you think about this person. And then you think, this person is just like me. Doesn't want to suffer, but has kind of sufferings in their life. wants to be happy but doesn't know what lasting happiness is. Struggles, runs, gets frustrated, gets angry, is attached, has fears, has resistance, has problems, just like me. Now, since I'm having these problems of daily life anyway, but may this other person be free from it. May my problems and difficulties in life may become the cause for that person's happiness and well-being. So as you breathe in, if you can, don't force yourself to do this, yeah? Only if you can. If you have too much resistance, then just stay with that resistance in your heart and try to soften around it. Be gentle with yourself. But if you can, because I know many of you have done this before, you think whatever is bothering this person, be it present problems, be it the causes, the karmic imprints for these problems, I'm taking it away from her by breathing in. I take it away from her. Not so much that I get it. I have them anyway, so who cares? May that person be free of all the problems, difficulties, confusions, fears, meeting with difficult people. As you breathe out, you give that person everything that we cling to, like good relationships with others, Dharma knowledge, patience, skillful means to deal with the problems, intelligence, wisdom, in the form of light. So basically we go, whatever the person doesn't want is black, sticky, hot, smoke, gooey stuff. Whatever the person and I want is light, smooth, soft, healing, fresh, pure. And you just keep doing that. Not caring so much what happens to the other person, not caring what happens to you. If you have the courage, you can bring that black gooey stuff down to where that ego is sitting. We all know where it is, in the middle of the chest. And where you can visualize that it's like this beautiful heart that we have, this space that is there, is kind of protected with this crust of self-absorption, fixation, that my happiness is more important than somebody else's happiness. As that black gooey stuff hits it, it just explodes it into 1,000 pieces. And then that beautiful space that is our nature can appear. And then we don't have to be afraid to give out whatever we think is good and that we have. We have so much to give. Love, understanding, concern, kindness, friendliness. And you give it with this light. We have so much to give. And we withhold very, very often because we're afraid. As you breathe in, you might think, may you be free from suffering, hardships, problems, difficulties. as you breathe out, you think, may you have everything you need. May you be happy, composed, calm, open, spacious. Breathing in, may you be free from suffering, problems and difficulties. Breathing out, may you get relief, solutions, courage, patience. And we all know the state of the world at the moment. It's not so wonderful. So just in a general way, as we breathe out, we wish the world to become more peaceful, more spacious, more open, more tolerant, more just. As we breathe in, we take in everything that is heavy, all the confusion, all the fear. Not of all people, but just in general, try to do it. To heal the world, we need to take away the suffering. And we see actually the sincere wish we have when we do that, to be able to do that. We just train the mind, so then at least we don't harm when we do that. And as a Buddha, that we're not giving up our practice until we are fully enlightened, so that we can be of real benefit. So if you can, all this confusion, all this aggression, the fears, the greed of the world, you breathe it in not for you to keep it, but to destroy that I that makes me and them. And as long as I'm happy, great. What they do, I don't care. This kind of attitude we're destroying. But we're also destroying the fear that comes from it. Not wanting to look, not wanting to open up our heart because it's too painful to see. And it's especially painful to see, then we see that we are part of this. We're part of the problem with our need for comfort. We're destroying the planet with our habits of trying to find happiness in outside things. So instead of feeling guilty, we think, I'm breathing in all these problems, difficulties that Mother Earth or the world has. When you breathe out light, and which brings relief, health, light, purity. And we start to feel that strong wish that we very naturally have for all beings to be happy and for all beings to be free from suffering. We don't need to exclude anybody. There's enough space in our heart for all of them. Then when you're ready, you can open your eyes, move your body. So we made quite a big jump, from one person to the whole world. But what it does, because very often when we see what is happening in the world, we get upset. I mean, I get upset, and we might even get angry. And it doesn't really help, because then it's not the right people who get the anger, and anyway, with anger we're not solving any problems. But it's the people next to us who usually get our anger, our fear, our grumpiness, and all this. And this is not so thing. When we do this, then we connect with our goodness, and we get sad, of course. But again, the sadness has enough space. It doesn't overwhelm us. And also we see our part, and then maybe we are able to, again, it's every individual's own decision what he wants to refrain from and what he wants to do. We can't ask other people, are you doing this? Then I also do this. You know, you decide to become ethical and non-harming, then that's fine. It's not that the neighbor has to start first. Yeah, we do it for our own sake. And then it's much easier also to see our part. We don't feel guilty, also we don't get angry. Whenever you see somebody treating somebody else in a negative way, it's very good to say, this is wrong. So we're not making wrong actions right by doing this, okay? We see the action, we go like, this is wrong. I, hopefully, will never do that. But we understand also that we have the potential to do that when the conditions come together. You know, I don't know how I would behave if I would be one of those Rohingyas now, and I wouldn't have food for my children if I wouldn't fight for that food. If I would patiently wait that somebody gives me that food or that water. I am not sure at all. It's very easy to be ethical and patient and all this, you know, waiting in the queue of the supermarket because you know at one point you will get there so you can pay. It's very easy. But when it comes down to survival, I wonder where our kind of, you know, humanity would go, how big it would be. I have a lot of that. This is why I'm not judging anybody. I understand the conditions that they're in. You need to speak really loud, I'm sorry, because I can't hear well.
This is a really important question for me, because if you talk about, earlier you said that, you know, somebody who's being aggressive towards you, and this process that we're discussing now and experiencing, it's not, the motivation isn't to stop them from being aggressive. It's to help myself to be more compassionate, etc. I can understand this, and I can understand, you know, maybe through my being more compassionate, that person will stop being more aggressive. Yeah. But that's not the. But in the example that you just gave, when there's a third party here who's being harmed, if it's not about me, but I see this person hurting somebody else. And so my primary concern is to stop the suffering of the third party. And so it's much more difficult for me to be tolerant or to be understanding or to take on or to accept the suffering of the aggressive person, and because it's not about whether I can be more. I want to stop the suffering of the other.
If you can, by all means, you have to do this, especially as a bodhisattva, if you can. But most of the time, I watch the news, I cannot do anything. I just get angry and upset. And I see that I'm part of the problem also. This is what I'm saying. If you can stop them, of course, by all means do. You have to. But then also, if you stop them without aggression and without anger. I mean, with force, yes, if you can. You see the same thing. If you have children? Yeah. Sometimes you maybe shout at them. Why? Because out of concern for them, not to make them suffer. But sometimes it's needed. Sometimes also not needed because you shout because you're upset. But sometimes this is we do. But the motivation behind is not to hurt them. So if you stop that person, you know, who is harming somebody else, then if you stop them without wanting to hurt them, but sometimes anger wants to hurt, this is the thing. So if we can calm ourselves first, like a policeman is there to stop harm. If he does that with anger, this is terrible because he has the power plus the anger. This is what's happening in America. So, do you see what I mean? So yes, of course, nobody says you should not stop others if you can when you see injustice being done. Yeah. But sometimes we're powerless. I mean, I am. Well, a 67-year-old woman, what am I going to do with somebody who's aggressing somebody else physically? What am I going to do?
But do you really feel that? Do you really believe that you're powerless? I mean, isn't...
Yeah, in certain situations, yes. I was in Switzerland, I was waiting for the tram, and I was there was a young man sitting on the bench, and somehow I had a feeling, maybe I should ask him if it's okay to sit down, but come on, it's a common bench where the tram goes. I sat down, he said, "Piss off!" So, okay, I said, "Sorry, I didn't want to make you upset." And he said, yeah, piss off, you stupid sect, or something like that. And so, because, I'm dressed like this, also normal, I mean, that's my normal dress. And then I said, oh, sorry, I didn't want to make you upset. And that was really honest. I didn't say that to calm him down. I said, yeah, this is how you get people, by being friendly. So I knew if I don't shut up now, he will definitely explode. So I kept quiet, and this was my power, to keep quiet, not to get angry, to leave him alone. Sometimes I start a discussion with these aggressive people, but sometimes no. So, you see, I'm not really here to educate people. I'm here to educate my own mind. As they say, I think also in Judaism, you save one soul, they save the whole world. I do believe in this. As long as I'm part of the problem, I cannot solve the problem for others. But if there is a person beating up a child and I can go there and say, hey, what are you doing? I will definitely do it. But if it's like a young 22, 3-year-old guy who tells me to piss off, I'm quiet. I'm not saying, oh, you do, and I was so happy that nobody else got involved. Because sometimes people want to help me because I'm an old woman. So then they want to help me, right? So it's much with anger. Then I see that it makes it worse, yeah? So if you say powerless, I have the power not to get angry. This I have after these 25 years of practice, But I also check the situation. I mean, sometimes when there are aggressive young people, I took 2 occasions, it came out really well, and we started to wave at each other when we left. But I had more time also, and it wasn't that dangerous. They were also younger and just out for mischief. So, yeah. Do I have power to stop people like this one in North Korea and in America? No, I don't think I have the power. I can make prayers. And I can make prayers not to be part of the problem. I can make prayers not to take sides, for example, also. To see the causes for this mess on this planet. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. A Buddha, when they see what is happening, they would see this through the eyes of compassion. But active compassion, also if they can do something, they would do. Whereas an ordinary being sees it through the eyes of anger. And then, of course, the moment you have anger, you take sides. The moment you have anger is again right and wrong. And it's not helping. This is why we have all these wars. Everybody who goes to war is thinking he's doing a good thing. Everybody. Even the ones who attack, It's like... Anyway, 6 perfections? How about that? Okay. Okay, bye. Have a nice evening. You're very welcome. Bye-bye. So, if you decide to practice then to become a bodhisattva, like this aspiring bodhicitta is very firm in your mind. You know that, yes, I want to do this until I am enlightened. Therefore, I have to take the bodhisattva vows, because these bodhisattva vows are built up in a way, not the first 18 ones, but then the 46 secondary ones, for you to be able to practice the 6 perfections. That's why it goes together. It's not something separate, okay? Because it's difficult to practice these 6 perfections. So first one is generosity. we'll go, I'll tell them and then what they are, and then we go into them a bit more in detail. Okay? Second one is ethical discipline. Bless you.
Which one?
Ethical discipline. Oh, sometimes it's called morality. But morality today cannot be used anymore, because if I say morality, people go, oh. And they see this Protestant morality, you know, like you're not allowed to have joy or fun. Everything that is fun is sin. Sorry, if some Protestant sees this. There are Protestants who are not understanding it like this, maybe not so much today anymore, but it used to be like this. You know, Zwingli and Calvin and all these people is like very stern, it's very like, ooh, black and upright and like this. Everybody who is not, woo, like this, okay? I hope I didn't insult anybody who is Protestant. I didn't mean anybody in person. Ethical discipline sounds nicer. So for ethical discipline, again, you can make your own standards. And when you feel that you have fallen from them, then you need to do something so that you don't become guilty or have to push it away. You see, when we are unethical, this is also what we don't want to see. We don't want to see it because it hurts. It's not a nice feeling. So either we drown ourselves into guilt or we ignore. And the best way to put up your standards of ethical conduct is what? The best way of putting up your standard of ethical conduct is how? What? Huh?
Don't tell anyone else what you don't want.
Exactly. You see how it feels if somebody wants to kill me. Somebody is about to steal my things. Somebody is sleeping around with my partner. Somebody is lying to me. Somebody is gossiping about me. Somebody is spreading rumors so that I'm excluded from the group, and somebody is shouting at me all the time. We see how it feels. So then that should be the standard. Okay, I don't like it, therefore I am trying to abstain from it. Now, this is ordinary ethical conduct. Now, the Bodhisattva's ethical conduct is much higher than that. And now this is where I said, as a Bodhisattva, you have to help. As an ordinary person who wants liberation, no, you don't have to help. But as a Bodhisattva, you have a almost, well, duty is not so right, but you understand. Huh?
You take on yourself
the responsibility, exactly. So the ethical conduct of a Bodhisattva is, no, maybe I'll tell you later. I finish with these 6 perfections because otherwise we'll never finish here. Oh, the next one is patience. The third one. The fourth one is enthusiasm, joyous effort. Or effort is not such a nice word, but we have to make effort, whether we like it or not. And if it's done with joy, it's not effort. So enthusiasm is a good word. Do you know what enthusiasm means, by the way? It comes from Greek. Anybody knows what it means? Also, I had to go to the Google to find out. Enthusiasm means pervaded by God. Ha.
By God?
Theos. Yeah. Pervaded by God. It's very nice. Like a God would never be tired to help us. A God would never say, sorry, I'm too lazy to these. Huh?
What is it in Tibetan?
I don't know. I don't know Tibetan.
Probably not God in Tibetan.
Well, it's also not enthusiasm in Tibetan. It's joyous effort.
In Sanskrit, it's virya.
Virya is joy, actually. Virya is strength and... No, Prithvi is joy, right? Yeah, Prithvi. Prithvi is joy. So virya is like... Vira is like... not giving up. So I think enthused and like, being pervaded by God means God would never give up. He's never disappointed. He's never discouraged. He just... So this is why I kind of like the word enthusiasm, especially when you know what it means. Because for us, enthusiasm is a bit too much over the top. It's like, yeah, it's not controlled. So enthusiasm or joyous effort, then concentration or calm abiding, concentration. And the 6th one is wisdom. So why are they built up like this? It doesn't mean you have to practice like one after the other. You can practice all of them together. But they are actually kind of a little bit built on that. Because generosity leads to non-attachment, like you start to give. So it's not enough just to give with Tonglen. You actually start to give your things as much as you can. Not as little as it's still kind of okay. Yeah. And also it leads to a non-amassing of possessions. There's less attachment. When we have less attachment, it's easier to keep our ethical discipline, because so much unethical behavior comes because of attachment, not because of aggression. The whole briberies and corrupt and all this, not because they are angry, it's because they want. Most of the court cases at the basis is attachment. And also kind of a violent act like rape is based on very big self-cherishing and attachment. Not because they're angry at this woman, because I want this woman now. And they don't, that rage of that greed and that attachment, they can't see there's a human being there anymore. When that very strong attachment and desire is present, makes them totally crazy. I'm not saying then it's okay. Yeah?
Attachment, what if it's to something that doesn't have any objective value? But say, for example, your child draws you a picture of a flower and you want to keep that for sentimental value. Mm. You're attached to it not because it's worth anything, and even you couldn't give it to anybody because it wouldn't help anybody else, but you really want to keep that for 20, 30, 40 years because it's sentimental value.
Yeah.
Is that bad attachment? I mean...
Well, it's not bad attachment as long as nobody destroys that picture. The moment somebody comes and destroys it, you get angry.
Or you lose it.
Or when you lose it, you feel terrible and you feel sad. You see, I was very attached to my dad. This is why I said, So then when he died, I was in India. And so I felt terrible. I mean, I was crying for I don't know how long. And I shut myself off into retreat in order to let the pain come up so the pain could heal, and because I knew how to deal with it. Also, so I came into waves, After 40 days, the pain was gone. Only the memory was left. It was quite amazing, actually. So I didn't trust that, that I have lost my hero kind of feeling, that he wouldn't come back when I would go back to Switzerland. And he didn't want a grave, he wanted to go to the mountains, so his ashes went on the mountains. So, but they kept, some things of his, and I thought, wait until you see it. Also, I saw this box with his things, and I thought, that's not my dad. I don't need these to remember my dad. So we very often, these objects become the person. Yeah? But it's not bad attachment, no, it's okay. But if somebody comes to this and destroys it, then it can go into anger because to the other person. This is Ajahn Chah, this very famous forest monk who was the first Thai monk who taught Westerners. He said, when I see a glass, I already see the broken glass. So when my dog knocks it down, I'm not getting angry. It's very nice, yeah. And also to see, then again, like, have you ever had to empty somebody's house who has died or had to go to an old people's home? And they're attached to these things and you can't throw them away because for you it's like, yeah. But it's so difficult to throw them away or to give them away if they can be given away because you know how much, but it's kind of totally mistaken. It's not bad, but it's mistaken. It's possessions, it's things. Do I need this to remember my child, to love my child? No. I give more importance to the child than to the drawing. Is that okay? Okay, so from giving of less attachment, through ethics, it's easier to keep ethical conduct because there is less attachment, yeah? And also when you want to practice ethical conduct, you need first to practice mindfulness, awareness. You need to know what's going on in the mind because otherwise you do all kinds of things and you're not aware of what you're doing. Okay? Then, because you're more mindful and from ethical discipline, you kind of practice non-violence, your karma becomes quite okay. So you get less people who take things away from you or who attack you and all this. You see, it's very difficult to practice patience when your life is in total shatter and people attack you all the time, want to take away even, you know, the authorities or whatever. Already they don't help you in your poverty, then they demand a lot of taxes and all this. It's very difficult not to feel being treated in an unjust way, isn't it? So it's patience, you have to start practicing with small things. But unfortunately, the small things we neglect. I mean, you know. And then it goes into the subconsciousness, this moment of frustration. And then whatever, same situation, it comes up again and again and again. And finally, you know, we totally blow our fuses for one small thing. And everybody around us goes like, what happened? If you trace it back, then you see like, wow, this is a build-up of undealt frustration moments. Yeah? Whereas with patience is not gritting your teeth and waiting until it's finished. You know, you try to understand the situation, which you know it's your karma, you know the other one is suffering, you know it's impermanent, it will finish, and these kind of things. Okay, that is patience. Patience is with an open mind bearing that which is unbearable. Calm. And patience also has an aspect of non-harming. Patience says, at all costs, I do not want to harm that other person who has harmed me now. Stopping them, definitely, but not harming them. And also, I will stop harming myself. How do we harm ourselves all the time when we're not patient? Karma and repeating the story, you know, opening the wound again and again and again and again and again and again. Okay, so when you practice patience, you discover that you have a lot of courage. Because it needs courage. You know, it doesn't need courage to explode. But it needs courage to say, okay, I won't say anything now. It just makes the situation worse. Because you will feel like the friar. You will be seen upon like the friar. You will have to take the role of the friar. In this country, it needs more courage than in other countries to have to be patient in the face of injustice sometimes. But again, if you can stop it, you can. This is, you know, kind of patience comes up when you could harm back, but you make a conscious decision not to make the situation worse. Then you can call it patience. If there's nothing you can do anyway, that's no patience. Because you're forced to not to retaliate or whatever. Yeah? So then when we practice patience, we get a lot of courage and we get the patience we need to develop concentration. No, then with the courage we have enthusiasm comes kind of, you know, we start to expand, we start to feel good, enthusiasm comes. With enthusiasm and patience, then that you need definitely for developing calm abiding, which I don't have it. This is why I don't have calm abiding. And then with calm abiding, you develop wisdom, which sees reality as it is, like emptiness. Okay? Now, there's a lot of things that go with it, but which I just maybe go, because these are the questions on your quiz. What kind of patience? You know, these are then, again, you have these subdivisions. So patience is, we come back to generosity. Generosity is giving of material things, giving of protection, and giving of dharma. So for the Asian people, the material things comes first, that's the easiest. For us, I would be, you know, giving dharma. Yeah, let me give dharma. Let me tell other people what they should do. Let me tell them how they should stop harming me. Okay? So we're so attached. You know, it is quite amazing to see how, especially people who have a lot, not everybody, you know, it's just in general, how difficult it is for them to give. Why do you think it is so difficult for them to give?
The fear.
I think because they are still under the illusion that having a lot of stuff makes me happy, and since it's not true and they're not happy, they need more and they can't give it away. They haven't discovered the joy of giving. And when they're giving things away, it's only things they don't need, which is too much. But it's good stuff. I mean, I get shoes, and last time I have a very old bicycle helmet, which I could leave on the bike, absolutely no problem. Nobody would steal it because it's kind of a little bit broken and those. Then it's this woman who says, "Oh, I have one too many." I don't know why she has, who would buy too many bicycle helmets for one person? But just for the sake of buying it. Do you want it? I say, oh, yeah, okay, why not? And it's such an expensive thing that now first I have to attach it so that nobody steals it.
Maybe she wanted to give you a
Now I did this 3 times. I really kind of attached, and I thought, okay, somebody steals it. It's not the right attitude of a bodhisattva because they create the negative karma of stealing. But I also saw my fear of this expensive thing being gone. I thought, well, if it's gone, it's gone now. But I still have it, and I just put it in the basket. And it's Switzerland, eh? It's not Israel, where even your saddle disappears if you don't take it home with you. That happened to me last time. I thought, what are you doing with all these saddles? And then I went to buy a new one. He said, well, they're selling it. I said, to you? He said, no. I said, oh. Anyway, so like this. So giving material things, giving protection. So giving protection can also be, you see me totally lost somewhere in a bus station and no idea where to go, and you see that I'm confused, you go and ask, can I help you? For example, because you know which bus goes. And this weekend, you have so many tourists. This is giving protection. Yeah. Okay, so this is generosity. Next one is ethical conduct, into what that is kind of divided. So ethical conduct is divided into, of course, not doing any of these 10 negative actions, and purifying what you've already done. So doing purification practices. We'll do it after the break. We do Chenresic practice. Yeah, you can take any Buddha. I mean, the Buddha for purification is Vajrasattva, but you can take any one of them. The second aspect is creating virtue. Because if we want to help others, we need the positive karma to be able to help. We need to have a life that is more or less stable. We need to have others who respect us. They need to listen to us if we want to change something in the world. Or if we need to have the skills. We need to have the time. Yeah? I know so many people who would like to volunteer, but they can't because they have to work. Otherwise they don't earn enough money to sustain their families. Yeah? This is why, again, I read it somewhere, that again they come up with this idea to give every citizen a certain amount of money they can survive on.
Zuckerberg.
Huh?
It's an idea Zuckerberg gave lately.
Yeah, in Switzerland we voted for it. They said no. Crazy. But anyway, so then people could finally start to do what they like to do, because then everybody said, they're lazy, they're not working, and this. I said, well, if they're lazy and not working, they're also not working now, they need social money, so where's the difference? At least then they can feel good about the money, and maybe then they will do something, who knows? I think it's a great idea. Yeah, because why? Because I don't have any money, so of course I think it's a great idea. It's totally selfish. But anyway, I still think it's a great idea. So, creating virtue. Now, this I know sounds very strange. Mayor, you have to be prepared, okay? I have to warn you. Creating virtue with, for example, heavy objects, heavy karmic objects, like your gurus, helping them with their projects. Or the Buddha, like making an altar, making offerings, helping the Dharma center, because why are they so heavy? Because they show you how to attain enlightenment. They're not just making your body healthy or your teeth healthy, like the dentist. They're making your mind healthy. That's why they're so heavy. That's why your gurus and then the Buddhas, They're like very, very heavy objects. So we make offerings to them. Another heavy object is your parents. Because why? I have 3 guesses. Why are these so heavy objects in our life? Why do you think? Because they gave us this body. They kept us alive. They spent a lot of money on us. If you would spend so much money on a friend and then the friend says, oh no, I don't feel like coming to see you, would you give him more money? Wouldn't you expect something back? I know we shouldn't expect anything, but we do. Just to sit down one day and think, how much money have my parents spent on me? How am I going to repay just that? And then all the hours of worrying. I mean, as parents, you know, all the hours that you are involved with your children's lives. Wow. You know? And it's actually one young man who told me, now I understand how my father felt since I have a child. Now I can really love him. Before I got so upset about him wanting to be protective and telling me to do this and this and this. Now that I have my own children, now I understand his feelings. And they're a very good relationship. So we don't need our own children to become aware of how much our parents give us. Just in terms of money. And then emotional involvement. What? You know, which friend is so interested in you than your parents? And then we get upset as kids, isn't it? Like, none of your business. Leave me alone. This is the suffering of the teenager. You see what your parents are saying is right, but you want to be different. So of course you can't do what they're telling you to do. It's a terrible age, actually. Yeah. Okay, so that's the second kind of morality, is creating virtue. So with the Buddha, with the Guru, with your parents, and with the sick and the poor. But that already goes into the third kind of morality, because the third kind of morality is helping others. So the steps are purifying your negative karma that would prevent you from having the skills to help, creating virtue that gets you the potential to be of help, and then with that, helping others. So these are the 3 types of morality, Sarah, what you asked. What's next? Patience. So there's 3 kinds of patience also. The patience of patiently bearing when it's too hot or too cold, or your sweater is scratching, or we start very small, you know, like not to change every time that something feels uncomfortable. Because we change, you know, in meditation. You sit in meditation, pain comes, then you change. Then the pain comes again in 2 minutes, but your mind is somewhere else. Your concentration is gone. So like this. Not to have to be at any cost comfortable. Because you're never really comfortable. You have to change all the time, you know. Then you're sitting like Miri. She looks as if she's about to, I don't know, total despair. That's your body language, how I understand. Yeah, that's how you looked. Or this young man there that is lying down, then you can lie like this, that's fine, but then after a while this becomes uncomfortable, and then something else. So we're constantly changing, we're constantly adjusting. If we have a mind like the Indian people's minds, because they have not this possibility to be comfortable, but their minds are much stronger to bear pain. Or like I was in the South Pacific also, like in very remote islands, not as a nun. The the courage of these guys to bear pain because there's no hospital nearby is amazing. You know, every evening they went into the pond, in the Sweetwater pond, to kind of wash and deck. So one of them, he jumped into it, he hit his head against a rock, he was bleeding, he came back up, he went, and that was it, he just continued. We would call the ambulance and immediately to the hospital, MRI, this and that, And it's these guys, it's in Samoa, I don't know if you know, they tattooed like the whole body with shark teeth, like without anything. They can hardly move for a few days or weeks because they do everything at once. It's their kind of thing of courage, initiation of courage. And I was there when they was doing it. Wow, this is amazing. But while we are taking pills and constantly adjusting, we take away that courage from the mind to be able to bear. And as you get older, my dears, for those who are still young, you get body pains that will never go away again. And actually they just get worse, isn't it? Yeah. So if already now you practice patience, then that will be less difficult and you don't have to be so depressed about being old and being full of pain. Now, the good thing about this pain is what?
It will get worse.
It will get worse, yeah, but there's also a good thing to it is what? You get used to it. First it's frightening, and then you go like, what's going on? And this and this and this. Then you get used to it. Sometimes you even forget about it. I mean, forgetting the pain is still there, but there's no mental involvement.
And overcoming it makes you feel good.
Exactly. This is it. You see that the pain is there. I'm emotionally not involved. How wonderful. This is much more valuable than not having pain, actually. To see, hey, I can take this pain. I can do Tonglen. I can practice patience. You know, we see the benefit of it. So this is the first type of patience, not changing posture all the time. Then the next kind of patience is not to retaliate when you're being harmed. Not to give back insult for insult, injury for injury, slapping for slapping.
Not to react.
To react, but not to react with this in the same way. This is like Shantideva's 6th chapter. Has like, wow. If you are in a difficult situation, that 6th chapter becomes your lifesaver.
Guideline.
It really, and you go like, oh yeah, I wanted to practice. Of course, yeah. So again, you know, it can sound very, very strange that one shouldn't change the situation. The thing is, we change and change and change, and it never gets any better. Yeah. And the mind also we take away the ability from the mind to be able to bear patiently. So that's it. So we start very small. And actually, Venerable Antonio, let me tell you, the third kind of patience is with the Dharma. That the Dharma works very, very slowly. So we just continue. That one is the most difficult one.
The American
Never
says,
give up.
Huh?
the Americans say, if you think big, think of a long time.
Yeah, exactly. That's very good. Yeah. So we have to be patient with the Dharma so that we're not abandoning. These are the 3 types of patience. Then we have the 3 types of, actually, the 3 types of enthusiasm also has 3 types, but what I find more meaningful, why do I find it more meaningful? Because I remember it without having to look in my notes. That's why I find it more meaningful, to be honest. Is like the 3 lazinesses. What prevents this enthusiastic effort is the laziness of just sloth, you know, just don't feel like it. Then the laziness of being busy. You know, being busy with trivial things. And again, just look what happens before you sit down to your meditation in the morning, if you sit down. Do you have regular times when you meditate? And you keep these times without any problems?
Of course there's problems.
Yeah, it's first this, then that, then, oh, I could put the washing in the washing machine. And, oh, I need to make a note. Oh, I could send that SMS. Oh, and then I have to go to work.
To finish something before I meditate.
Yeah, exactly. This kind of laziness. Kind of filling the time with worldly activities. We're not lazy, I don't want to do it. But that one, that is, I think, and I include myself, our biggest problem. And then, yeah, procrastination, like putting it off. I'll do it later. You know, this one is more, putting the washing in the washing machine is more important than my enlightenment. Wow. Or say, how are we ever going to get there if we keep these attitudes? And then the other one is, the last one is like low self-esteem. Like, oh, I can never do this, it's too difficult, like pulling ourselves down like this. This kind of laziness. Maybe I find here, maybe I find somewhere the kind of, yeah, I found. But oof, this is complicated. We're not going to go into that. I'm sure you're going to study the 6 perfections. Actually here in my notes is perseverance also. It's like persevering, enthusiastic effort or perseverance. Just to continue.
He says in the material that we have.
Yeah. Does it? Perseverance. Okay, good. Okay. Next one is concentration. So there, of course, again, this is quite a big chapter. We're not going into it. It goes about the 6 preparatory practices, the 9 stages, and the 5 hindrances, the 5 antidotes, and all this. So we're not going to go into that because that's very long. The different objects and all this. You can read it up in your Lamrim books, actually. And so then wisdom, of course, with that concentrated mind, we have the wisdom to analyze reality. If things exist, they can only exist in 2 different ways. How? Anybody knows? Yeah. No, not that one. The 4-point analysis. If 4-point analysis. First you need to identify the object. That's the first point. The object is not a normal eye, but an inherently existing eye, a real eye, a true eye. Or if it's a cup, you need to. We're not negating the cup. We're negating the real cup. We're looking for the real cup. We're not looking for the cup, for the dependently arising cup. This is what many people make the mistake, that they think, okay, then there's no cup. Okay, there's no eye. There is an eye. So we're looking for a real, separate, independent I. That's the object of negation. After 2 years of teachings, I thought I had understood what the object of negation is. Then Chadra Rinpoche comes to teach at Tushita, and he says, he started when he was 8 years old or something. He said it took him 40 years to understand the object of negation. Then I thought, okay, I'll keep looking. This is the arrogance of a beginner. You see, at the beginning, you start to study emptiness. You think you understand what they're saying. The more you study, the more you see that I don't understand a thing what they're saying, because it's not this, it's not that. It's that. Yeah. But it's good. That kind of confusion is healthy, because it's only when we go through these steps of confusion that we will come to the right result, meaning a result that is free from eternalism, things really exist, but also nihilism. Okay, then nothing exists. So that's the first point, right? That object of negation. Then if things do exist, really, they can exist in 2 ways. Which ways? Either,
By depending on
oneness with the parts or separate from the parts. So, if there is a really existing I, it can either be oneness with the parts, that means I need really a lot of them, because I have so many parts. At least I need 2. I need one for the hunger, and I need one for the sadness, like one for the body, one for the mind. But when I say I'm sad, and when I say I'm hungry, the I that says that, the feeling of I is the same. So already that is ridiculous. Yeah. So we find out they need a oneness with the parts, because that would mean if one part is missing, the I becomes smaller. Yeah. But they're neither separate from the parts, because if I take away the body and if I take away the mind, what can we still have? 0, nothing. Okay, so they're not separate. You see, if the I would be separate from the mind, like these flowers are separate from the biscuits. So I can take all the biscuits away and the flowers are still there. But if I take the mind and the body away from this I, which I think is separate, then there's also no more I. You can't have an I, an independent I hanging in the air. It's like not there. You know, when we said yesterday, you get a new body, you get a new mind. And we have a feeling as if there's an I there in the middle waiting for that to get the new body, get the new mind. It's impossible. That would be separate. That's the meaning of separate. It can be separate from the body and mind. When I give a new one, it can wait until the new one comes, but it cannot. You see what I mean? So then we understand they're neither oneness with the parts, nor separate from the parts. So that's point 2 and 3. Therefore, we come to the conclusion, this I that I thought was there is not there. And we go through this analysis, looking in the parts, looking separate from the parts, again and again and again and again and again, in a meditation that has concentration. We do the analysis with calm abiding. These two minds coming together, calm abiding and special insight, create a, anybody knows what it's called? Huh? A yogic direct perceiver. Have you studied Lorik? Mind? No? No, okay. So anyway, that's a special mind, which with that you go on the path of seeing, where you see emptiness directly. You need calm abiding and special insight. And with that you see this absence of inherent existence directly. That's the wisdom. It's called the main mind, yogic direct perceiver. Which has a, huh?
The calm abiding meaning stands for?
The calm abiding meaning, you have your mind, you choose your object, you sit down, you put your mind on the object, and it's staying there effortlessly for at least 4 hours. Shamatha.
Shamatha.
But we can, don't get now discouraged that, oh, I'll never get there. It's like, yeah, but we can have short moments of shamatha when you are. This is how you start. You see, you start with these 9 steps. This is why it's good if you study these 9 steps when you study shamatha. The first one is like placing the mind. Then it's like throwing a rubber ball against the wall. It comes back. The second step is replacing the mind. Yeah? So with these two steps, we spend a long time. Then it's patching up. You hold the object, but not firmly. Then you have to patch. And this is how it continues with these 9 steps. So we have to start somewhere, so it's fine. Huh? Kale, exactly. Now we make a break. 15 minutes break, and then we do the Janresic sadhana. Unless you have questions about these 6 perfections. I mean, the 6 perfections are the actions of a bodhisattva. So whenever there is an occasion to practice them, then you practice them if you are an engaging bodhisattva. It's good to study them in the Lamrim text so that you see all the features of it, because it only becomes a perfection when the other things are present. Okay, I forgot to say that. That's important. Yeah, just one sec. That is important. Meaning, if you just give, that's not a perfection. If you give, you need to give with ethical conduct. You can't steal it from somebody else to give it to somebody else. It has to be yours, okay? You give it with patience, meaning you don't want anything back.
Each one is connected to the other.
They're combined.
They have to be practiced. In order for it to become a perfection, everything has to be there. All 6 need to be there. So with enthusiasm, even though nothing comes back, you continue. Concentration, you know what to give, to whom, and when. Like, for example, you wouldn't give a weapon to somebody or a bomb that somebody wants to blow up something. That would be wrong person, wrong object. You wouldn't give your body to a person that you know is married. That's wrong object, and wrong time, maybe not. Yeah. Wrong time is you wouldn't seduce somebody to have sex with you when you know that this person has taken precepts. Which is precepts. There's 8. One takes 8 vows, and one of them is no sexual conduct for 24 hours, to abstain from it. So you wouldn't seduce somebody. That would be wrong time. Next day, no problem if the person is not married or if it's your partner. Yeah. So when, what, to whom, and how much? How much of it? Okay, so that goes with that. So that is like concentration. You need to know what, and then the wisdom. I, the one who is giving the gift, and the person who receives it, totally empty of any inherent existence. Then the wisdom is there. Then it becomes, if you give 1 shekel with this awareness, plus the thought, one day may I be able to give you Dharma, then it becomes the perfection of giving. If you give 1,000 shekel, just like this, then it's not. It's generosity, but it's not the perfection of generosity. Okay? So, you can see that we need awareness, because it seems as if your life becomes really complicated because you have to think about all these things. But the same way as now we have developed a habit of being mindless, we can develop a habit of being mindful. And then you don't have to go through this. The attitude can be developed and it will be there. At the beginning, we still have to think about this. When you give the money to the homeless person, one day may I give you Dharma. This is my practice. I dedicate this to you. Dharma. May I be the Buddha to give you the Dharma. Not an ordinary person who gives Dharma, but the Buddha who gives you Dharma so you can be liberated. Then that 1 shekel leads you to enlightenment. That's how cheap enlightenment can be, if you have the right attitude. Don't think you have to be rich to be a Mayan or Buddhist. But of course, if you have 10 millions in the bank, and you say, oh, Losang said, with 1 shekel I can go to enlightenment, then I don't think that would work like this. You have to be a bit more giving shekels. Okay, so we make a break until 1:45, 15 minutes is okay? Yeah? And then we do the Chenrezig sadhana.